Starting Le Mans Ultimate can feel like getting dropped into a deep ocean without a life jacket. The menus make no sense, settings break for no reason, and you'll spend hours googling instead of driving. If you don't set up things right from the beginning, you're gonna waste hours, rage at bugs, probably quit before you even feel how great this simulation actually is. I've been sim racing for years and I've already made most of these mistakes. This video is a shortcut I wish I had, and it's gonna be full of fixes and knowledge you're only gonna know after hundreds of hours of playing it. And this is the fastest way, I believe, that you can enjoy Le Mans Ultimate. Let's go. When you buy Le Mans Ultimate, everyone needs to buy it, yeah, the base game. But it's pretty limited. If you want instant access to everything, you can go for a subscription, and that will be more expensive in the long run. You could also pick every DLC, which is like buying it for once and then be done with it, but there will be still features locked behind a paywall because you don't have a subscription. That's just the way it is. I don't like it either. I have the subscription. It's gonna be a little bit more expensive for me, but I'm playing this like 8 hours a week at least. So paying 17 bucks or something for that, you know what I mean. So you have choices, DLCs or subscription, your pick. Another problem you run into with Le Mans Ultimate, and I think it's gonna stay till the day it dies, is there are occasional bugs, and sometimes some things just aren't adding up. Sometimes you got some weird stuff going, very obvious for some, but I need to be reminded of this, right? So when you have a problem, the first solution, you go to right mouse click properties, then you go to install files and you verify integrity of game files. Always try to do that first. Sometimes there's just an installation problem or a file problem. So the right force feedback settings, I think this is very overrated a lot of times and underrated at the same time. But the thing is, this is the settings that I use over here for calibration. Take note, this wheel range and this use range from vehicle, it's kind of, but this is what I use. And here are the force feedback settings that I use. Now take note, in the description on my free Patreon, I share my Moza Pithouse settings, and I'm actually on an older update because I really believe when something works, don't push in these updates all the time. But that's just me. And some audio settings that work for me. I don't think this is very personal. I think most of this is just personal. So let's go to the juicy stuff. Those are the car controls. You only gonna notice after multiple hours, so take note. Something that I think is the most important on your steering wheel is, you can search it up here on the top left, and it's like reset force feedback. Sometimes, and I don't know why, but the force feedback can disappear when you're driving. Have a button on your steering wheel or somewhere that you can reset it and it immediately comes back to you. Yeah, I've had races that I lost my force feedback, and don't get me started. Another button you might consider is load vehicles. When you're in a practice session and new cars being loaded in, you get all these weird Le Mans Porsche cars around you. When you have load vehicles button, it loads deliveries of all the cars with the shapes, whatever. So that could be handy. Something that you really need is a pit limiter. Pit limiter button. Have it on your steering wheel in an obvious place. Later I will explain why this is so important. Two other buttons you really need to have on your steering wheel. This is important for hypercars, but also GT3. I have over here a brake bias, and over here I have these two, the increment motor map and decrement motor map. This is important for hypers, and brake bias is an absolute must. As you go through longer races, you wanna sometimes increase your brake bias a little bit forward. It's handy to have a shortcut. Then overall, it doesn't really matter which controls you have, but I think it's important as well to have your MFD on one button so you can switch through menus, like use all these different sliders. So I have, when I press this one and I can slide through the menus and everything, super handy. So something about the difficulty, I've set it up this for full simulation, although I have an auto engine start, auto windscreen wipers, automatic headlights, auto clutch, but basically everything is off. And something to take note of, the AI professional is pretty challenging. So if you're new, you should drop this, have a look how, I'm not sure how much it is going to be important in the next step. Also, what I think is important is HUD driver labels, put them hidden, or else you got all these tags above these cars, it really breaks the immersion. As for assists, try not to use them. If you need to use them, turn them off as soon as possible. And in the next part of the video, I'll also explain, if you keep sliding and spinning, which cars you need to pick and which settings really help to stay on track. With all that setting up out of the way, and now we can actually do some driving, right? So what is something you want to consider when you're starting out? Like when you start the game, right? You're doing this for the first time, and you really need to learn at least the basics and feel the basic stuff. Definitely pick a track you know best. Spa is my all-time favorite track for multiple reasons. And when you want to pick a car, you can have a choice with race weekends from different years, right? 23, 2024, 24, 25. Mostly I'm focused on 2025, but know that when you want to have the easiest cars, GT3 and GTE cars, in my opinion, are the safest. GTE don't have a ABS system, so you can lock those GTEs with the braking. With the GT3 cars, you don't have that problem. Those ones are the most easy. Then I think that hypercars are more easy, and the LMP2 cars, those cars are really difficult. So, or the most difficult. So you can get used to every one of them, sure. But yeah, if you're starting out, just pick GT3s, and I think GT3s are most developed in the game as well. You know, it still feels like there's a lot missing with these cars, and I get a little bit of a force feedback, less force feedback with the hypers. It seems that they still need to develop those more somehow. I like to do some practices 1 hour, and then the timer runs out and I can do some practice or whatever. But if you're absolutely new, I would go for a race and I put like 10 minutes, fast start, take note, tire wear, fuel usage real, tire warmers on, and you can just pick GT3 cars, full grid. Also important with the loading, sometimes it's on 100%, nothing happens. Also in online sessions, be patient. The game will most always like load up, but it seems like it's freezing up, but like here as well. Now all of a sudden it starts. A little bit of a choppy transition. Anyways. Race starting procedures, you got this green line, you need to be in line. Here's the important part, the pit limiter. Now I'm on the pit limiter, green flag, and I can release it and have this great race start, right? This is how you need to start in Le Mans Ultimate. I think it's important, especially when you need to familiarize yourself on tracks, is that you follow these cars and you see their braking points, braking markers, and they're slowing down. This is the absolute fastest way to learn tracks, right? Also, Le Mans Ultimate can be very unforgiving on track cuts. And let's talk about something that makes cars a lot safer. You see here on the bottom, I'm changing the MFD, and you can see, like here, can I change the traction control up or down, or change brake bias, ABS settings. Aggression AI is on 100%. ABS values, I really like it to have them on 9 understeer. And when you're using the braking, you want to make sure you're not relying so much on the ABS. So you brake, you can see on the right here on the gears, bleed off the brakes, trail braking, and don't rely too much on the ABS. This way you can be quickest. Now you can see I'm talking, and whatever, this BMW is so safe on the base preset. Absolutely the best beginner car ever. If you want it to be increased like the pace, or you want to go faster, I had a real good success with 2.86, and when you're like less advanced, you go 4.68, and you could go like 4.611. these are just some values to test out on the traction control. And if you want to know which GT3 car you should pick and how they feel, I have a video dedicated on just the overall feeling of these cars and how they feel and how fast they are, competitiveness, difficulty, and that will be down below in the description. And if you're liking this content this far, could you please hit that like button? That really helps me out. And if you're advancing or you want even better behavior from all of these cars, I have skill level setups in my store. I also have some free ones you can try to progress into higher difficulty. So let's say you would take a BMW and you have a level 2, then that one you can get for free. But when you pick a level 3 or level 4, you get more aggressiveness on the car, you can brake later, you can turn in better, you can go on throttle earlier, but it's also gonna step out and be more twitchy. So those levels can really help you to get better at this game as well. So have a look. Now, AI races are great, and if you're really into AI, do it. I think the AI is pretty good, but the real experience and gamifying your own sim racing journey is in the online. And what I recommend, especially when you're getting into races, that the gulag, or call it the mosh pit, because the truth is, daily races are a mess, but you need to get into them anyway to get some rating, right? So I did like 12 podiums, 9 fastest laps. I did like 60, 70 races. Safety rank gold gives you access to pretty much every race you can do. So you want to do some daily races to crank up that safety rating to get into ALMS Sprint Cup and the Super 60 series. Those ones are the best because there are open series, open setups, and I like my own setups. The rest I don't give a dang about with all this fixed stuff, but you need to get into the fixed races. And again, I also have a video down below on how to crank up that safety rating as fast as possible. Big problem I have with daily races is it's so crowded and it's so anonymous and no one takes responsibility for their own driving actions. So on the daily races, it can be so messy, there can be so much collisions, but again, I think it's really important to understand the game properly, to know how race starts operate, how to get the most out of your car, and being like testing your ninja skills to avoid traffic, avoid like collisions and learn multi-class racing. But the true enjoyment is not created by the game itself. At the time of recording, there's no single player, but I think you need to make your own career and your own sim racing journey going into leagues and private communities, because there will be most likely some stewarding, official like scoring the points, fastest laps, and rivals, people that you every week competing against. That is the real beauty. We don't need the you can go on like my community. I have a community as well. We do races every Wednesday, but you could also go on the SimGrade and sign up or subscribe to a proper community so you can practice your races or your whatever, and then you go into leagues and communities. That's where the goal is. That's where you can like really get more enjoyment in the sim racing. These dailies are great, and you can jump in, do a race, but I'm just gonna warn you, don't expect too much of it, because it's a big mess a lot of times. Now, what I said earlier, when you get your safety rating up to gold, it's gonna be better. You know, people are more serious that way, but the bronze safety rating races, it's just a mess. You need to grind through it to get it up, and then league racing, mate, that's the way to go. A while back, I told you to get that increment motor map, right? And that is for the hypercars. So if you want to test out the hypercars, you use that button to increase that motor map to the max when you're coming out of the pit. Thanks, Ringel, for the tip. I also didn't know this. I need to get into this car more as well. But what this basically does, when you are coming out of the pit, and now your braking balance is gonna be weird, because we don't have to We don't have braking performance from the battery that needs to charge. The way we can create this is to drive with more power. You can see now on the bottom right that the battery is emptying, and now we bring it up to a normal value again. That's why you want this to come out of the pit, and now this car is going to be more predictable. Now, I didn't drive these cars a whole lot, so it looks absolutely amateurish, but you can see now it's braking and it's saving power, and this is going to give you performance throughout the lap. The goal with the battery is to keep it somewhat in the 50%. So that's all I got on Hypers. So to summarize this a little bit, get in those GT3 cars, learn the game, learn starting procedures, learn the tracks a little bit, watch a track guide left and right to understand how you can pick up the pace, go into daily races to experience more on race starts, pit stops and all that good stuff. And if you need it to have more safety rating, or you want more safety rating, or you just can't get it because it's very hard in daily races, I highly recommend to check out this video. That will explain how to get that juicy safety rating up. And before you end, check down also the links below for my setups that can really help you to progress into higher skill levels with more rotating cars. And check out the newsletter. There's always a lot of articles I write that don't make it to these kinds of videos, but there are a lot of tips about grip and range setups and all that stuff. Thanks for watching.